Jared Poland, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is the 52nd week, the 52nd Raw edit of the week, and this one is brought to you by Allen's Camera. Their full store is now up and running, by the way, allenscamera.com. Check it out if you can in the U.S. to see what they're offering. But yeah, 1 full year of putting out these Raw edits of the week, and they keep getting better and better each week because of your edits and your screen flows and everything that you guys are doing. So I'm going to go ahead and do my processing of this file, and then we're going to open it up to Adam to do, and then we will put them together and see what we, well, see how we both did. Interesting photo, of course. I love the look of her face, her smile. I love the veil. You know, it's a little underexposed, like I said in the preview video, but, you know, let's get into it. Will I crop it? It's always a question. Well, no, it's not always a question, but when it comes to the Raw edits of the week, it becomes a question. Let's see if there's, like, something in there that would make this possibly interesting. No. No. Give me original frame, please. Original, undo. Holy Jesus, it moves all of this stuff back to the original. So that crop isn't going to happen. Boom. Thank you. Boom. Let's get some warmth going on in there. Boom. I mean, this is if you were to bring it back normally. I think if I was to shoot this with this type of background, I would really want it blown out and or have a really deep background because I'm distracted by, you know, like the Sunoco in the background and all the cars across the street. I mean, that's why I was attempting to do a crop to possibly, let's see, get rid of that stuff. Let's see if there is an angle up here to actually work with. But then with this, we're getting into, you just lose so much quality. It's just not good. I want to see where I started. This is what I did before. So I'm going to reset it to show you my edit. I'm going to bump this up. Bumping my exposure to start. Coming in with some contrast. I want to warm it up. Boom, she's warm. There's not much tint to take out. I don't want to add a lot of black levels because that's what's going to happen. It doesn't need that much. I'm going to pull back on the clarity on this one because it's bound to be softer. I think it looks better softer. She looks good. She's sharp. And I'm going to go like that. I'm going to tighten it up. And I like the warm feel of it. I'm sure Adam's going to sit there and go, "It's so yellow, Jared. It's so yellow." But you know what? I like the warmth. I'm into the warm image, and that means that the background isn't distracting as much for whatever reason. Let's try this. I want to see what the fill light with a lot of black levels does. Oh, yes. Yeah, look at that. That's the coolest edit I've ever seen in my life. No, it's not. Back to here. Nope. It was kind of interesting with all that fill light. It kind of gives it that interesting look. Yeah. It's funny what you can do with that. You can bring a lot of it back. So I'm going to go to that. I'm going to leave it at this. Let me see what my first edit was. That I did this because I already edited this wedding. Oh, I like that. What did I do to get to this? I like this better than that. It looks just better. Let me pull back on the clarity. I'm going to go to that. So here are my settings for this. I liked where I was first time. Sometimes it's hard to replicate what you're doing all the time. So I got this one saved as 1. Let's make another pass at this. Let's go to black and white. And let's see what we could do here. Now, if we look at the background, it's totally gone. So now it's not as distracting. And I'll try not to say now 17 times. But it's not as distracting in the background. But I want to bring this, I want to do something with this. No, and that's not it. So I'm going to be pretty close to where I was before. It's not the easiest file to work with. You know, we're going pretty high key here. Dee-dee-dee. Got it. Got it. Now let's do some split toning. Until we find, oh. I just want to go crazy. Why don't we go crazy and try something totally, yeah, let's go with like a soft pink hue so Adam can be like, "It looks pink. I said it looks purple." You know what? I'm going to try it. I'm going to try a purple hue here. Just subtle. It's subtle. I mean, as I'm filling it in, there's a little bit more. Why don't I go with this? I know it's weird. I'm just going to try it. Let's see what happens. I'm pumping up my black levels. I like that a little bit more. Going to pump in a slight bit of fill light. There we go. Let's see if the clarity goes up. Nope, clarity is going to stick back down here at 20. General sharpening. Looks good. I like that. So here we go. We're going to save this as purple. P-U-R-P-L-E. Purple. There's color. There's purple. A little better. I like the purple, black and white toning myself. So Adam, you're up. Let's take a look at your edits and my edits. We'll put them together. We shall see you soon.
Adam Lerner, and welcome to this week's Raw Edit number 52. And this week we have a joyous photo of a bride, and what I really like about this photo is that it's candid. You know, she's not looking at the camera. She's not in a typical pose. She's happy and she's smiling. She's kind of looking off camera, and her veil is blowing in the wind. And you know, even though the image is a little bit skewed, I don't really mind that at all. I mean, I like the fact that it just kind of draws you in, like the imbalance. You know, it implies some motion, and the way that the veil is kind of being blown over there, it's really super cool. ISO 800 f4 500th of a second. Yeah, I mean, you know, we could have maybe gotten a little bit more background information on this one. Maybe if we were at slower shutter speed. Doesn't matter. You know, it's a really cool shot, and because it's raw, there's a lot we can do. Also, I like shots that are a little bit darker than lighter, because then in my opinion, there's a little bit more to work with. You know, if everything's just blown out, there's not a lot, there's less than I feel that you can do to bring it back. So let's get right into this right here. Now, the exposure, we can see that we've got a lot of blown out areas in the background, which is cool. It's kind of got that backlit vibe. I don't mind that. So I'm not going to touch the exposure for now, but what I am going to do is I'm going to bring up the fill. And I'm going to bring it up to about there. And I want to go for something a little bit more moody, but right now I just kind of want to balance things out. So I'm going to add some blacks, and I'm masking things off just so I can see the dark areas here, the overexposed areas, if you want to call it that. I'm going to split the difference. I'm going to just go to about there, okay? That's more like by feel. I'm going to add some contrast to this. I definitely think it needs some contrast. Now, in adding the contrast, I'm going to reduce the blacks because I don't want her to look too harsh. I want her to still look, you know, lovely as she does. I'm going to add a little bit of clarity, and I'm going to leave it like that. Now, one thing I did notice about the image is that it was a little bit cool. So I want to warm this image up, and I think I'm going to not only add some warmth to the color temperature, I'm probably going to do a little bit of split toning. But let's start with the color temperature. Okay, you know, we're getting a better sense of time of day right now. We've got that long shadow afternoon sun. It's a little bit warmer. Let's keep it right there. And let's look at the before and after. I mean, right away, I'm really enjoying how this image is looking right here. All right, so let us go down here, and we're just going to sharpen this thing up. So I'm going to go back into the after shot, and I'm going to just grab something like her nose, which looks sharp. And I'm just going to bring that up, and I don't want it to get too over sharp because then it looks kind of too pixelated. So I'm going to go to about there by feel again, masking things off to sharpen the edge detail and not textures. There we are. We're going to go to about there. Now, I did mention something about split toning. So what I want to do is I want to give it a little bit more warmth. I want to kind of just give it more radiance. So I'm going to go into the highlights, and I'm going to select this kind of yellowy color. And right off the bat, I really like that. I mean, you get a lot more detail in the veil. I mean, just look at that difference right there. It's a little bit too yellow, so I'm just going to bring the saturation down just a touch. And as far as shadow detail, you know, I guess split toning without shadow and highlights is not really split toning, but let's just add a little bit of blues to that. Okay, that's a little bit cool. So let's go more magenta, somewhere around there. And I'm just going to reduce the saturation because I just want it to be a subtle amount. And as far as balance goes, I'm just going to reduce that just a tad. So let's look at the before, let's look at the after. You know, that's really kind of cool. The only other thing that I wouldn't mind doing is adding a little bit of post-crop vignetting, some highlight priority vignetting. So let's bring that down. And we'll kind of go somewhere around there. And in doing that, you know, let me just do a couple other things here. Just going to add some feathering just to kind of smooth it out a little bit. I think I just want to pop it open just a little bit more with some more fill. And I'm just going to just take a gamble here, and I'm just going to add just reduce the saturation just a touch, just to give it a little bit more of a natural vibe. And I'm just going to add a tiny touch of vibrance right there. That's kind of cool. Yeah, her skin tones are looking a little bit flat. So let's go into the HSL and let's see. We'll just add a little bit of, let's see what happens when we add some saturation. Yeah, it's not so great. I'm just going to reduce the saturation on the oranges and the yellows a little bit. It's looking a little pinkish for me. So let me just bring this down somewhere around there. That's going to be the tint that I'm just adjusting. And let's keep that about there. You know, I am going to bump exposure up just a touch like that. And greens. Now we've got these wonderful greens in the background here. And I'm just thinking, you know, we could just accentuate those just a touch like that. And luminance, let's do the same thing. So we'll just brighten up the background just a touch. Let's get that. Let me just see how that looks over there. And as far as the yellows, I don't mind that at all. We'll brighten those up a little bit. Oh, wow. Look at that. Yeah, we'll just add a little bit of oranges and luminance. And let me just see what the before and after looks like. That's the before. That's the after. And, you know, to me, this image is really starting to come alive. You know, it's got much more of kind of like that vintagey look. Again, you know, her expression really works for me. There's one little thing. She looks like she's got some kind of a bug bite on her arm over here. I'm just going to try to just deal with this in like the quick down and dirty way. And just see if I can just, you know, do some spot fixing over here. That doesn't work. It's gonna this definitely would require going into Photoshop. Let's see what we can do if we just want to lighten this up. We'll go into dodging, lightening, and we'll just kind of just move right on there. And you know, already that looks a little better. You know, you can hit the O key to see the overlay where you've actually laid that down. It just doesn't look as odd. You know what? That's too much. So I'm going to undo that last little bit. And I'm going to close that and I'm going to zoom out. You know, it's sticking out to me like a sore thumb. I would definitely take this into Photoshop and I would do some spot healing adjustment on that and just really try to match, you know, that one bit on her arm. Other than that, it really doesn't bother me. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to do black and whites. I think that this image screams for black and white, so I'm just going to save this first one as a snapshot, and now I'm going to go into the black and white module, hitting the V key. I'm going to, let's see, the split toning is kind of cool, but I'm going to actually, you know what, let's just keep on to that. I'm going to actually reduce this, and I'm going to just only use the highlight detail right here, and let's just warm that up a little bit. Let's see, nope. Go more into the yellows. Saturate that a little bit further. Somewhere around there, just give it a little bit of a vintage vibe. I'm going to add a little bit more exposure to it, just a touch. I'm going to also add some more contrast. A little bit more clarity. And yeah, let's just see what happens when we duck that down. You know, that's kind of cool too, actually, to just duck the clarity down. You know, it just looks a little bit nicer kind of from a portrait standpoint, before and after. I'm just going to mess with the, you know, I have this preset right here for split toning, and I'm just going to use my BW toning one. There we go. That's a little bit better. I think that it was just too much before, you know what? And and all that did was it just added like a little bit of this, you know, this, actually, let's make this yellowy more. You know what? We'll do that. And I'll just duck down the saturation. Just to give it kind of like that vintage vibe there. You know what? That's kind of cool. Maybe just add a touch more highlight priority vignetting. And I'm going to leave that at that. So that's going to be snapshot number 2. So those are my edits. Right at 52. Let's go to Jared and see what he's got.
And we are back with Adam Lerner in the bottom right-hand corner, and I am in the bottom left-hand corner. And Adam, first thoughts are going to you.
Wow. Well, I would say that our color edits are not too far off. Oh, what happened?
I just moved them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on a slight delay. I really wanted to see that veil. I see you kind of washed it out a little bit.
Sure.
I did a little bit of split toning on mine. I like this image, just number one, because it's joyous and it's candid. It's just not your typical wedding shot. Hey, I'm looking at the camera. You know, the only thing that bugged me is that kind of bug bite on her arm, which if I had more time, I would have gone into Photoshop to get rid of.
And you lose it when you go black and white also. Or purple.
Sort of. You sort of lose it, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's hard. There's a couple of things about, I think, the way that this was shot, the way it was metered, that just make it a little bit tougher to edit. But it's a cool shot, man. Very cool shot. Yours is white. It's crisp. It probably is more wedding album friendly. In color, that is. But I kind of like the warmth of mine in color as well. And I kind of boosted the greens and the yellows a little bit. Just gave it a little bit more of that kind of afternoon kind of, you know, sunlight look.
Yeah, it's again, not the easiest file, but I love the look. It's an interesting angle. It's something that I personally don't shoot a lot of, like 33 millimeters during a wedding. Usually during that, you know, if I'm shooting a wedding with you, that's your thing, is you're shooting a little wider and I'm shooting tighter, but we switch back and forth. I know that, but
sure.
It's an interesting photo. Whether I didn't even mention the dress being cut off. I don't think that's that big of a deal in this case. But honestly,
it bothers me.
Yeah, well, it does. And you know, I broke out. I've got my see the world framed, trying to see other crops. I could have, I guess, come up and cropped right below the what do you call this? The bouquet. Maybe that would have worked. I don't know why I didn't think. You know why I didn't think of that, Adam? Because I wasn't sitting here with my see the world viewfinder looking.
Sure.
I was trying to do the crops and I wasn't liking them through Lightroom. But I like how you kept the veil. You know, honestly, I didn't even think of that until you said it. You know me, I'm processing for a certain thing and I didn't even notice it. But the veil looks good with what you did here, and the silvery tone of the silvers are really cool too. I know that's your crunchy edit preset that you have, and I don't know. I went purple. I wanted to go purple.
On my black and white, I retained a lot of the editing that I'd done on the color, and I enhanced it. I bumped it up a bit, added more contrast and whatever, and then I just added some split toning because I just felt like it needed a little bit of warmth, you know, because it is that time of day where the sun was long and it's warm. There's something really kind of fresh about yours, and you know, her expression kind of goes with that. It's a little bit washed out, but the contours of her face really work, and you know, that kind of washed out look is flattering. I mean, there's something very flattering about the way that you did that, you know. So I don't mind it at all.
And that it's an interesting thing because maybe a bride would be into seeing 4 different tones. You know, a yellow tone, a pink tone, a purple tone, a red tone. You never know. I mean, it was just something off the cuff just to try a different color. And yeah, I did. I went more for the face here, which is weird because I am the guy during a wedding who doesn't care about the dress personally. Yeah. Like you know that. Right. It's like people are like, "Oh, you're losing the dress," but I'm going, "Oh, but you're losing her face." But the dress is good. To me,
it's a tough call because the dress is so much larger than the upper body that to try to capture a bride in her entirety, you know, particularly with 35 millimeter camera when there's a lot of action going on, it's not an easy task.
No, and yeah, and some brides love their dresses and want the focus to be their dress, and other brides aren't really as focused on what the dress looks like in the photos. But you know, that's why we do these raw edits, to see what everybody else is doing, and to see what we're doing, to see what they're doing, to see how other people see the image.
Sure.
And that's what's cool about it. Again, no right or wrong way here. And I think all 4 of these edits work separately. If I was to show the bride each one of these edits, I don't know how they would respond to the purple one because it's just so extreme, but I don't think they would be upset with any of the other 3 edits. And maybe they would like the purple one. You never know.
Speaking of the purple one, it's interesting how you must have gone into the HSL, if not, unless you just did straight split toning.
No, I did straight split toning.
So whatever you did, interestingly, by removing the green information, it almost gave it an infrared look.
Well, this is the JPEG. Sorry, this is the JPEG that you're looking at. With
the grass going white. It's a really cool look. I mean, again, it has that kind of like fairy tale look about it. And there's, I mean, normally, I don't think I would normally like something like this, but it really does work. I mean, I guess the little kind of dark spot on the top, if we, again, had more time, maybe we would have edited that out. But the information
yeah, I didn't see that.
I thought about cropping that, but I didn't want to lose the top of the frame because I like the arc of the tree.
Sure.
Sometimes, here's the thing. Let's just say it comes down to this, to kind of put a fine point on it. Sometimes you might not have the absolute perfect framing, but if the emotion and the story is being told and being told beautifully, that often overrides being technically perfect. And I think that that's what's going on here. I think the story is really coming through. It's a really joyous moment. It's natural. And it's very pleasant.
And that's a very, very good explanation to leave everybody with.
Indeed.
All right. So that is the raw edit of the week, number 52. It's been a year's worth of raw edits. That means there's 52 raw files for people to download who are just getting to the site to go ahead, play around with, and have some fun.
Yep.
So, Adam, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And that is about it. Yeah. Enjoy. If you haven't edited, just go ahead and enjoy. Go ahead and edit. You can edit at any time. It doesn't matter if we're done the week or anything like that. So have fun with that. Jared Poland, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.